I have a dream.
It's one small step for man.
I am the greatest.
You want something, go get it. Period.
Initially, I guess my love for the outdoors came first before I began really taking pictures or videos, essentially. I'm a person who follows my heart a lot, and what I've really noticed, what I've truly really noticed is once I start believing in the idea, truly believing in it, you'll actually see me work towards it. Don't let other people's definitions get in the way of yours, because sometimes it might feel like you're stuck just because you're seeing other people do much better, but what you don't realize is you are on your own time.
What's up, my fellow dreamers, doers, achievers? This is episode number 23 of the Dream Big & Co. podcast, and on this one housekeeping note before we roll right along: the production quality in this one is increased. Shout out to our guest. We got a new and improved mic, and you'll get to hear the crispiness and the nice tone to our voices. No, but on a serious note, it really is increased, and I want you to know that so you can further comment. Let us know if you did enjoy, so we can buy the proper equipment to increase the quality in further episodes. But to skip the sponsor for this episode and just talk and zone in and focus in on our guest, it is Maruf Hossain. And to be transparent and honest, he is someone personal and close in connection with me. We have grown and learned a lot through each other within these past 2 years. We've even traveled to a place in being that Iceland together, and we learned a lot. And we constantly play off each other with what we do, what we keep working on. And as for him, there's two things I want to identify before I talk further. One, with everything he does, and what you'll hear and learn is there's a bigger picture at play. Whether it's his family, friends, people close to him, he always, in the back of his head, keeps that in mind and has that at stake when he pursues something. So, for example, he's going to climb Mount Everest by the age of 30. He's going to keep those people in mind. He's a super grateful person, and it goes back to his roots, back to where he grew up within his origin story, which he touches on. And then second, he is very aware and in tune with the environment. He is preserving the environment in many ways. He does work with electric vehicles, so it's just he continues to roll out his purpose, his mission in life in a way, and he always does things in creating value for others. And then lastly, and most importantly, he is a digital nomad in a way, and through every film he makes, through every photo he takes, there's a story behind it, and that is the true art of anything: to tell a story and to convey some type of emotion to impact other lives. So this is just a value-packed, higher quality, beautiful conversation with my dear friend Maruf Hossain. So hopefully you enjoy. Keep it rolling if you would like, or skip these two quotes that I'm about to list off involving wanderlust, travel, and experience. The first quote in being, "It is better to see something once than hear about it 1,000 times. And two, traveling. It leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller." So, Maruf in a nutshell, and if you don't already, make sure you have a pen and paper to take notes, or just keep it in the back of your head as you pursue and progress through life even further. This is episode number 23 with Maruf Hossain, and let's get going. So we're finally here. We finally got you on. I'm excited. I'm here with Maruf Hossain, and it's been, a year in the works that we've tried to actually get you on an episode.
Yeah, definitely. I think we were talking about it when we first met, about me getting on and talking about something, but we never got to it.
Yeah. I feel like we always have awesome conversations, so I'm excited to actually record it now. But just for understanding more about yourself, who you are, people can understand what you're up to. Can you talk about where you grew up, how the family was like, and then I know we talked about this and connected over this, which I didn't know about, with, your grandpa being into, traveling and the entrepreneurial roots in a way, but can you touch on all of that?
Yeah, so growing up, I grew up in Bangladesh, which is which is nowhere near the United States. So my dad used to live in the U.S. and he went through high school here, and he went back to the country to marry my mom. And then I was born there, although my dad lived here. And then eventually, after I was about 4 to 5 years old, we moved to the United States. But going back, my mom had me right out of high school. So she was going through college as I was growing up, essentially. So my grandparents was raising me. And my grandpa played like the dad role in my like upbringing from like the young ages. And I just remember like going to different places with him. One thing he did was he really cared about the community around him. So he, although like he was an entrepreneur working like in the fishing market, he had like a few fishing boats and a few clothing stores. He would volunteer with the Red Cross, and that actually got him to travel around the country because Bangladesh, knowing it's like very susceptible to climate change because the water rising. It's almost like a peninsula, so there's floods almost every year. And so my grandpa would, every 3-4 months there would be a big flood. So like he would have to, gather with the local Red Cross team and he would go out and help these people. And a lot of the times, because my mom was in school and, babysitting reasons, stuff like that, I would just go along with my grandpa and like do different parts of the country. It was pretty cool. Although Bangladesh is a small country, you kind of like, as a, being a 3-year-old, you thought it was like the whole big world. So it's pretty incredible.
Like a big adventure, yeah. So you literally went and helped when he went out on expeditions?
Yeah, I mean, like, as in helped, as in, like, I walked around with him and maybe, like, picked up something, because I was, like, really young. But, I mean, I saw a lot of different kinds of people. Like, growing up in the country like that, it's almost like you see the difference between, like, poverty. Like, you literally see the poverty line. You can see, like, what you have, and then you go out and see the people that are affected by these floods who don't have anything that you have. Like, they don't have, like, a house made with bricks. They have a house made with tin. You know what I mean? Wow. So, like, if it's windy and these, like, wooden structures with tin, it, like, blows over. You know what I mean? So that's what really, you see the differences and you begin to appreciate stuff more. And, like, definitely going with them at a young age helped me realize what I have more and, like, appreciate it than, like, the other kids that wouldn't go out, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, did that really shape and mold, like, the gratitude and thankfulness you have? Because just, like, knowing you so much now, like, you're just super grateful. You know your place. You're extremely humble with everything you do. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, growing up, I was never, like, I wasn't as essentially, like, deprived of anything. Everything that I wanted was given to me. But, like, I feel like coming from, like, a family where they emphasize, like, togetherness, you know what I mean? Like, just remember, like, who you're here or, like, the reason you're here or, like, just remember that, like, your future is tied to, like, 3 other people or 4 other people. Like, you represent us. I feel like growing up in that environment really shaped, like, me, who I am today. Because whenever I'm about to do something or I think of, like, my actions affecting not just me, but, like, my little brother, my mom, and everybody else.
Yeah. Okay, so going back in time, you were in Bangladesh. So your mom had you when she was in college?
Yep. She was 19 years old, just out of high school.
Okay. And then what was it like growing up? Like, did you, like, go on a bunch of, like, your own little adventures? Were you always, like, spontaneous and, like, wild and crazy?
So growing up, my mom always told me I was very talkative, loud, and just, like, annoying. Like, I just liked being everywhere. And I remember, like, from a young age, I was homeschooled, actually, first. So, like, I was homeschooled until 1st grade. Because, like, the school system where I was being brought up, like, the elementary school system, public school system wasn't that, like, well, or, like, you didn't really get good education. And my aunt was actually learning or, like, in college to be a teacher. So, like, she just brought on the role of just, like, teaching me, like, the basic ABCs and English and stuff like that. And essentially, like, when I got into school, I was so, like, free to do whatever at home. I thought I could do the same thing in the school environment. I remember getting in a lot of trouble because of that. Because I was just like a free spirit, doing whatever, saying whatever, and I realized like in school everything is like, you sit there, you learn, you can't talk out of turn. So it's like definitely for me, who I hate, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being so closed in, it was like a weird, almost like a weird feeling because I was so used to like doing whatever at home and learning like the way I wanted. Versus just being in school and I got in trouble. I remember just like coming home and just not wanting to go back, stuff like that,
Yeah. I'm definitely matching the dots and connecting the puzzle pieces. That's crazy. Yeah. So what's really fascinating to me and what I really love, can you talk about like one instance or occurrence where that happened, but outside of the school system, like when you would, want to be free and like get in trouble for like maybe going up to the
So, I mean, like taking that from a young age to like when I grew up in like high school, I was the same thing. Like I wanted to see stuff and like see new stuff. And I was seeing like, state parks and stuff. That's how I like got started, like climbing mountains and stuff like that, like near me. But like what I realized is like there's so many like hidden gems and like abandoned stuff. And over time, like nature takes over. So it looks really cool, like with nature and like broken structures and everything like that. So I just remember in high school I used to get in trouble because I used to break into these like, these structures and these places. And like just exploring like that because I always had a hard time, I guess, conforming to like anything. If I wanted to like see it or if I wanted to do it, I feel like I always needed to find a way to do it. I felt very caged in.
Yeah, where that theme is gonna pop up a bunch when we talk more, like just finding a way and all of that. But can you talk about when you go on adventures or you travel somewhere, do you plan? I know you plan a lot, but do you like that more of not planning as much so things can come about that you wouldn't expect?
I mean, like, I feel like every trip, I sort of have a plan of, like, these are, like, the places I would hit. But, like, what I've seen from the past few trips is, like, I would get there and, like, my heart would change completely. And, like, we just go on this completely spontaneous other plan that we just came up with on the spot. Like, I remember my senior year, it was my senior trip. We were supposed to go to Disney World. And instead of going to Disney World, we decided to go on, me and my friend Miranda, we decided to take that money and instead go on like this Southwest America road trip. And I just remember we created an itinerary only for Arizona to Utah because they were right on top of each other. But once we got there and we were like, I was physically looking at the U.S. map on the plane, like I was in the airplane and they had a screen of like the plane landing and then I saw how close California was. So like, the plan from going to Arizona to Utah became from Arizona to California, California to Nevada, Nevada to Utah, and then come back to Arizona. So like
that's wild.
And like even on like Iceland, the trip that we did together, I feel like we had an idea of like some of the places that we wanted to hit, but like no way in hell did we have a plan. No, and I feel like that just made it the best. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I really, since you brought it up, I really want to talk about that because that was not only we planned a lot, but there was so much of that where it was like you have to find a way because we literally had nothing else. Like we had to like get the car, like find the food, like find the places to sleep. Even though we slept in the car a lot. That was crazy.
I mean, from that trip from the beginning, just like getting in the car and then realizing when the guy is telling us, you guys know it's a shift, right? You guys try to stick shift, right? We're just like, so
to like expand your people's awareness, Maruf and I went to Iceland together along with another friend, and we obviously don't have the biggest budget in the world, so Maruf emailed this car company, and he was like, all right, we'll make a video for you if you give us this car. And we were like, oh, awesome, great. We get there, and the guy's showing us the car. It's going great. We signed the papers, and then he goes outside. He's like, oh, did you get my email that the car is manual? And we all looked at each other, bro.
I just remember getting in the car and I just see Anthony on his phone watching a YouTube video. And it was like, how to drive stick shift. And we're sitting at like the parking lot of the car place and we're just like looking at each other like, dude, if we can't drive the car, are we supposed to road trip with it?
Can you talk about like, I want to know personally, but just so people understand more, like how did you literally feel inside when it was like, okay, we are stuck. Like we're in the mud right now.
Yeah. Wait, like stuck as in like
not literally. Like we're like, we don't know how to drive manual. We're stuck in this parking lot, and like we're actually literally scared. Yeah. Like, can you talk about the raw emotions?
Yeah. I just remember. So I got to Iceland. And I just remember I was, like, so excited because I remember me and you went outside the airport and we just started breathing in the air. And it was, like, the most fresh air that you breathe because we just flew out of EWR. And, in Newark, there was no good air. But I remember, like, getting to the car and I was really scared, as in like, because I was just like, wow, I got all of us here, and now we have the biggest obstacle. We don't even know how to operate the thing that's supposed to get us around. So I usually always like get really nervous for the first 5 minutes, but I don't know, something about me tells like it always comes over. Like I can't stay mad, like I can't stay sad for a long time. My emotions are very temporary, so usually like. You get like you're scared, like holy cow, you're in like another country, you don't know what to do. But I feel like what happened was like I saw you looking at the videos, I saw Sufi, our friend, very calm, and I just like looking at the situation. I'm just like, if any guys are gonna figure out how to do this trip, it's probably gonna be these two guys, and we're gonna do it. That's how I had a feeling. I just looked around and we weren't speaking of discouragement. I don't think that word like we can't do it came out of our mouth. I think you went straight to the video. Sufi was like, yo, I remember driving from 5 years back, and I was just like, dude, we can do it. It can't be that difficult. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like the best part. Like we were scared, but the fact that like we were so optimistic and positive about whatever came at us in that whole trip, I feel like that helped us learn and adapt to go further. And you know, even like later on, once we learned and the car got stuck, and we were like, it took us like 3 hours, I think, for the guy to come help us. Even like in that moment, I just remember us climbing up to the top of like that little hill and just looking out, and just we had a broken car in front of us. We didn't know if the trip was over 5 days before it was supposed to be, but I feel like when we looked out and we saw like the calm water, the mountain towering on the left, and like the perfect pinkish blue sky, we just looked at the moment for what it was. And I feel like when you look at things like that, instead of like the negative thing that's in front of you, you can go way further in general in life than, you know what I mean, than just like sitting there and waiting.
It opens up so many more avenues of like opportunity. And I think also making it like not a game, but making it fun, where it's like, okay, like this is what it is. Like we have to laugh at ourselves a little bit, because you're good at that too. You don't take things as seriously as they should be.
No, like I remember just this past December when me and my roommates went to Montreal. And we wake up the next day with our car, like, all messed up. Someone broke into my car, and our passports were in the car. So the first thing we look for is the passports, and they're not there. And this guy, he just took $12, but he left the passport hidden underneath the seats, and we were freaking out. And I remember Jason and everybody freaking out. I'm just like, I looked at it, I was scared, and then I just literally started thinking, yo, how do I get myself out of the situation? So, like, my automatic thing was, they take the car because they found their passport. I'll stay here, and they'll probably figure something out. I don't really get upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like when you don't get upset, I feel like the right answers, like, you like, start to come out with the right answers to get yourself out of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like, there can, like you said, there can definitely be that instant where you actually are fully afraid, but you have to go in and embrace it, and then from there you can take the steps to... be optimistic.
I feel like if you're in a situation where you don't see the right answer, or you don't see clear, do it because you're so like everything is coming at you once. If you think of it more positively, I feel like just because you're thinking positively, you'll see answers than just feeling stuck in one place. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, and then also a theme that happened within the Iceland trip, and also, which will be more of like a leeway into the next topic, is I feel like we had, for example, with the car, there was a failure with the car. We didn't know anything about it, but we got like 1 inch further. We were like, okay, you have to do this in order to go forward. And then it was like, okay, you have to press the brake and then let go in order to do this. And it was like, all right, a day later, like we knew how to drive really far on the highway, but then something happened and then we figured it out. So it's like constantly building upon like those small failures and principles. What is one, like, mimicked failure in your life that always happens, where you just constantly learn from and grow from? Or maybe a big one if you want to talk about that.
My personal, like, what I think is my biggest failure, I feel like it's something that doesn't happen once. It happens to me almost, like, every week. And it's, like, obviously I make a list of priorities and goals for myself. And you always, like, when you're actually making a list for myself, I always write work and then personal. And then what I see myself doing is, like, in my head, I feel like, I'm going to tackle all of this together. All of this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish it. And then what ends up happening is, because I try to tackle everything together, I fail miserably in many parts of my of my day. And, you know, for the past 3 months, honestly, like, you know, Drexel, like the school that we're going to, obviously it's a very different experience than it's not like every other college, you know, having no summer, or like the fact that you go through school and then co-op, it was kind of really like overwhelming for me at first. And then, you know, like I realized that for the past 3 months, I was feeling more stuck trying to handle a lot of these things at the same time. And I feel like that was my biggest, like, in my opinion, I feel like I thought I failed, you know what I mean, from doing that to myself. As in, like, I was trading my time for something else, like, you know, for money, or like for what I thought was my gain. And I feel like to do that to yourself is kind of failing. But if that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have realized that at this age. Now I'm 20 years old, and I feel like realizing that now, that you shouldn't trade your time for money, which I did. And I feel like you shouldn't ever do that, is like really good thing to understand as a young age, because later, if you do end up chasing that, or like you're trading your time, you're gonna realize that you're gonna wake up one day, or you're gonna have realization that, holy shit, I'm like 32, or like I'm like 33, and what did I actually do? Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I had that realization, and I feel like that period of my time, that 3 months, in the past 3 months, I feel like I failed myself. But from that failure, I've learned to extract things that were pulling me back. For example, I gave up one of my second jobs that was taking a majority of my time away. I looked at myself I asked myself, like, what do I want to prioritize this year, like my values and like the goals. And I'm okay with saying no now, because I always had a hard time saying no to people. And what I realized is, like, I can say yes to a million people, but if I can't take and give and actually stay committed, then I'm just disappointing people. You know what I mean?
You think you're giving a lot, but you're actually not. Yeah.
Right. So for me, you know, failing myself for the last 3 months has helped me a lot, because I feel like now that I realize that big thing is, like, don't trade your time. Use your time in a very positive, and in a way that it'll actually push you to get somewhere better. So I feel like that lesson has helped me now, and I feel like it will definitely help me moving forward. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But yeah, I guess my shortcoming would be wasting time doing some things I don't want to do.
I really resonate with that. I appreciate that too. That's really awesome. And then in looking at the realm of goals, because you have a lot of grand ambitions, which are amazing, which we'll get to. But are you someone who would set goals like yearly, or do you just have like things you want to eventually do? But how does because I'm really interested, how's your like goal process set up?
It's almost like, I don't know how to describe it. So I'm a person who follows my heart a lot. And what I've really noticed, like what I've truly really noticed, is once I start believing in the idea, truly believing in it, you'll actually see me work towards it. So for example, I'm on a Dream Big podcast right now. Anthony, like, you know, you came to me with the idea last year when we first met, you know, our first year in school. And obviously I was confused. I was like, okay, so this kid has a vision, this kid has an idea, but I don't see it yet. I don't completely see it through. And then, you know, being with you, I've seen more, you've explained to me more. We both have a good idea together, a vision for the company together. And, you know, now that this year, I'm just like, okay, I fully understand this. I can see where this is going. This can create like a crazy movement or whatever it is. I feel invested in it, and you can clearly see that I'm putting more time in it. And it's like exactly like that. So for me to accomplish a goal, I have to believe in it completely from like the bottom of my heart, because at the end of the day, I have a really hard time putting my time in anything. It's even if it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. Anything if I don't truly believe in it. So for me, like, you know, like the goals that I have, it's like, it's not unattainable. It's not like something crazy, like, you know, I'm gonna freaking invent like something that's gonna solve world hunger. It's like very attainable goals that you can systematically accomplish. But like, I've set it up for myself. You know, I've been saving places or like saving things I want to do since I was like in 6th grade. You know what I mean? But like, I feel like my heart tells me when I'm ready. Yeah. And, you know, like even with like, say like this past summer, you know, when we went to Iceland, I had Iceland on my bucket list for the last like 6 years. But like for some reason, I told you about it in the beginning of the year, then I forgot about it. And I was like, yo, I actually want to go to Iceland. So I texted you a month before, and we both headed to Iceland.
Yeah.
It's like
actually, it's funny. I actually had See the Northern Lights on my bucket list way before I even knew Iceland was conceivably possible to travel to,
And like, dude, the crazy part is like, my heart took me, I was like, yo, this is the year. And, like, you know, so many people go to Iceland, but they don't get to see the Northern Lights.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just felt like, I was like, this is the year.
It just felt right.
I know I'm like, because, you know, just came back from a cross-the-country trip, then I went to Canada with my family, and then it was, like, the next day after Canada, it was Iceland, like, flight. And I was just like, okay, I'm doing all of this. Should I really go through with Iceland? And I was just like, nah, like, this is the year. I feel it. So I hit you up a month before, and we ended up going. And, like, the fact that, like, you know, I followed my heart, and then we saw the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It was,
you know what I mean?
it was special. It was really special.
And dude,
what was that experience like, seeing the Northern Lights?
Dude, I don't even know. So the first night when we saw it, it was just like, I was like screaming, you know what I mean? But like, I know the first night was awesome that we kind of saw it, but the second night, you know, like when it came out of behind the mountains and it dispersed into the sky like an explosion of like green light, I know like it was like an open big field. You remember that? And not a single person. I couldn't hear a single soul.
Yeah.
It was me, you, and Zufi just looking up at the sky and like just like screaming.
It was like just that moment. Yeah, it's just like
Empowered.
you're so empowered. Like my heart just like was smiling.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my God,
like,
yeah.
You know, and like what I was thinking is like so many people, you know, like, you know, for us, like for one of my big goals, obviously, is like I want to climb Mount Everest. A lot of my friends know
we'll
that.
Get to that,
you
yeah.
also know that, and we're going to talk about it more. But for a lot of people, I feel like Northern Lights is almost like a thing. Like, they want to see the Northern Lights before they die. And, like, I just remember, like, the amount of appreciation I had for God, the universe, energy, whatever, you know, your belief is, like, that the universe is about. I just felt like that great appreciation that at age what? We just turned 20, I think. It was, like, literally, like, a few weeks after we turned 20. At age 20, we got to see something that nobody, like, so many people, I would say like 80-70% of the world doesn't get to see. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's so
special. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It opens up your eyes and heart so much. And then the one thing I really want to talk about with that is like, you go through all this stuff, all these quote unquote, it's not terrible stuff, but it's like opportunities to learn. You go through all of this to get to a point to reach like the pinnacle of like scenic views or like amazing experiences, just to look back, to be grateful for. So for example, we'll get into it now. Like when you hike Mount Everest, when you get to the top, I feel like you would have the greatest moment of appreciation for all of humanity, Earth, everything. You know what I mean? Just to like go through all of that, all that crap, to get to the top, to be so grateful. Yeah.
You know, like I always think about like when we do climb it, I hope we climb it together.
Yeah,
you know
we
what
will.
I mean? I always think about like when we do climb it, like what's next? Like what's next?
Is there always something that's next for you?
I feel like there has to be.
There has to be, yeah.
Okay, you climb Mount Everest. Okay, so what's next? What's the next great thing? And like I was thinking about like before we make the next great thing, you know, or do the next great thing. Obviously, we want to tell the story of like how we did this. And, like, I was thinking about, like, creating this, like, you know, documentary or film that we're going to do when we get to, like, the base of Mount Everest or whatever. And I realized is, like, me and you, bro, like, we didn't just start climbing Mount Everest from, like, when we got there. But we were climbing Mount Everest when we were, like, doing hinge lifts in the U-Cross lifting room, or running that 3.8 mile in the city, or, like, jumping in the freaking ice water.
To be honest, I'm gonna trump that. I think hiking Mount Everest goes back all the way to when you were in Bangladesh, dude.
Oh,
like life,
dude,
you prepare life to get to that point.
It's almost like, you know, like I just like sometimes like the promo video or like the trailer of that documentary plays through in my head, and I can see just me saying into the camera, like, I didn't just start climbing Mount Everest like this past year. I started climbing Mount Everest when I freaking hiked Mount Poconos. That's at 1,000 feet. Not 29,000 feet, 1,000 feet. And it was a harder thing for me to climb that than Mount Everest, because it was the first 8-mile thing that I've ever done. And it's like that first thing that's the hardest. And I feel like sometimes people don't realize that. Just starting is so hard. You know what I mean? So you don't just start climbing Mount Everest at 17,000 base camp. You start climbing Mount Everest at freaking sea level when you start. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's so many metaphors and analogies for hiking. It is
nuts.
unbelievable, yeah. And so going back to what you said before, like you envision a film before it actually happens. For the people who don't know, Maruf is absolutely incredible at videography and photography and cinematic stuff. And for you, how is, like, branching off, how is that process of filmmaking for you? Is it the same way where it's like, all right, I see something, I envision it, my heart's going to follow it, and then we'll prepare and plan as much as possible, but it'll end up working itself out?
I mean, like, I remember just, like, how I began, like, filming or, like, taking pictures. You know, initially, I guess my love for the outdoors came first before I began really taking pictures or videos, essentially, because videos came way later in my senior year. So, like, you know, me like, exploring and going through stuff, I began to realize that whatever creative process that I do, like, like, I started taking pictures on my iPhone and iPod, essentially, or, like, initially. I remember, like, telling myself, like, whatever form of art I'm going to do, like, you know, picture or video, that it has to somehow inspire somebody, or, like, my friends, like, you know, who were seeing it through my Snapchat before I started posting on Instagram, like, yo, dude, like, where is this place? I want to go. And I realized from all those, where is this place, or, like, how do I go? I always knew that, like, whatever I create has to inspire someone to go outside of their comfort zone, or, like, of the place that they're living in, to see something that's greater or, like, different. So they have a, I guess, more open mind, like, appreciation for the environment around them. So for me, like, when I first start a creative process, I always ask myself, like, how it will affect the person that's watching it. Because I feel like video now, or, like, content now, is so saturated with just, like, amazing, beautiful shots. And which is awesome, you know what I mean? A lot of people show off their talented cinematography skills, which is, like, amazing. But at the end of the day, if you're just posting to show off a lifestyle, or, like, posting just to show, like, your skills, it's cool. But I feel like it's better if you can do that and tell a story that can change someone's view on something, or like, inspire them to go somewhere or do something that's bigger than themselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I guess my number one priority in a creative process is asking the purpose. What's the purpose of this post? Yeah. And, you know, something that I lately started doing was, like, some pictures that mean a lot of things to me. You know, I posted on my personal stuff, like my personal Instagram, and I don't leave any caption at all. I just do a new caption because in my head, sometimes I know the meaning. And, like, so obviously in my main account, I'll do some caption describing what the places of the experience. But, like, my personal one, like, the people that I only let the people that follow me, I hope they can create a meaning.
I like that. I didn't realize that. So you want to create your own meaning from it, yeah.
If you are connected with me, because, you know, I only let people who are really close to me on that account, that know me from, like, when I started, like, doing photos or videos from the start. So, like, I usually post, a lot of those pictures aren't even, like, pictures that I took this week. Could be, like, 3 years ago. But I posted, like, what if someone that's following me, I post it, I don't tag them, but they're going down and they're scrolling, like, oh, shit. Yeah. Like, that's when we went to 3 years back. That was so cool. I didn't even look at it from this perspective. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've been even doing that just to, like, get people remembering things, like, memories with me.
I love that. I mean? Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
Like, what I really want to get into doing, I guess, in the future with, like, filmmaking or, like, photos is definitely, like, focus on story. I think we talked about this more, you know? Like, I think the story is so important. And, like,
it's crucial.
Yeah, it's like, and the thing is, like, if you make a film that doesn't have a story, or that doesn't, it's at the end, it's just like almost like a blank slate. Yeah. It's like there, but it's just empty, shallow.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe
it. The point of art itself is to convey a message or a story of some sort, whether it be a video, a photo, a painting. Like, it can be the worst thing ever, but if there's a unique story behind it, I think that'll trump any type of effect or talent, definitely. You know?
And I think, like, you know, like going off of that, like, the story aspect, a lot of even, like, when I just came back from Nevada, and, like, there I was looking into a lot of the new technologies that was coming out. I think the fact that, like, people get down to the material that's used on the surface of even, I remember seeing a new BMW car, the material that's used on the seats, they literally tell the history, or, like, where that material came from. So you can clearly see, like, the impact that you're having as you're purchasing the car, because that material is recycled. So they're literally telling you, like, they took a pound of trash out of the ocean, made it for the seat, so you know that you're doing good. I feel like that meaning and whatever that is, that story, that, like, this, you impacted the world directly in a positive way, means so much than if it was just a seat. You know what I mean? Like, you go to the dealer and you pick that seat versus your dealer telling you, hey, if you go with this option with recycled whatever, you literally will help take a pound of trash out of the ocean.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So,
I really let's touch on that too, because you're someone who's really into conserving the environment, the effects of all of climate change, just nature in general, and you're really into renewable energy, renewable resources, and all of the new tech that's out there, especially electric vehicles. Did your initial integration into nature itself, where it all started, is that now translating into your love for all this electric vehicles and all that stuff? Or you always loved tech too?
Yeah, I always loved tech, and I always thought that I wanted to go into technology, go into programming and stuff like that. But obviously, that took a big turn, because what I realized is, although I love tech, I felt I don't know why, a greater purpose to show the world and travel and, tell the world through, or, show the world through my eyes to maybe inspire somebody. My love for nature, seeing how beautiful it was, made me appreciate it more. And taking that appreciation, when I started reading more articles, as I got older, I would read articles, watch documentaries on literally seeing the places that I love getting destroyed. And I feel that's one thing that'll definitely get to you. You know what I mean? And so the first thing you do as in human nature is you go searching for answers, how can you help as a person? And you know what I mean? In high school it was hard because you have that childish mentality. So I wasn't that serious. I was just okay, I knew about it. I would tell my friend, I'm yo dude, don't litter or stuff like that. And what I realized is as I got older and I became I became more aware of actual facts and studies and watching documentaries that are showing basically animals and fish and whatever it is disappearing in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So
it's literally happening
right
in
now.
our generation. It's it's absurd.
Even the fact that you go on Twitter and every week there's something about climate change. Every week you can go on, and I think the last week's fact was that in 100 years, 2/3 of all Himalayan glacier near those the base camp villages won't melt.
Wow.
And okay, so 2/3. Forget 2/3 in our lifetime, even 1/10 melts.
Yeah.
It's Himalayan glaciers. It's one of the biggest glaciers, in the world. 1/10 melts. That's enough water to flood that whole village and displace everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hearing that, and me just sitting in my warm freaking apartment and seeing something that I am doing in this country, or something that's happening all the way in this side of the world, emitting CO2 through just transportation, and even the things I do, videos and making films is one of the great biggest emission, that field. You know what I mean? I don't know if you even take a look at it from your own side, doing what we do, using the computer or phone. I'm not saying don't use technology, but I'm saying it creates so much CO2. You know what I mean? Just production of it, and seeing all those facts and connecting that back with how much I love nature. I just felt I needed to do something about it. And coming to Drexel and living in a city, I didn't really feel it as much before living in the suburbs, but now I literally see what it's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but I think right now where we are as people, and the fact that we're aware now and we are doing things, and there's gonna be people that say it's too late, but I feel even if you did something, it's you did your part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should do your part no matter, just because it's not okay, everyone's being bad doesn't mean you should be bad too, or you know what I mean? It's just that. It's okay, we might have messed up. We don't have enough time, or whatever, but we can still try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel it's trying that's important, not just letting it go because it's already too messed up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I think going back to it, I think it all starts with that awareness. And that's brought to the surface, probably mostly through films and videos. Like you said, you watch documentaries about it, and it brought your awareness up, and reading about it. It's just constantly bringing that to the surface so the masses know about it, and then taking the steps to change it.
I mean, definitely. I feel as I'm getting older, I'm beginning to be aware of all my actions and how it affects the planet and the environment. And, something that I used to do was, use plastic straws. And I know one person stopping isn't going to do a lot, but you know what I noticed? I stopped using plastic straws, so my coworker who gets the same coffee at, my workplace, we go in the morning and the first thing we do is make coffee. he stopped getting plastic straws.
Mm.
And it's like, you know, you picking up a piece of trash on the street and you doing it every time for a year, and all your friends are seeing you do it, you know, like, you will make a difference. Like, you will see one of your friends doing the same thing somewhere else, but like maybe not in front of you because you were doing it every time. But I feel like, you know, if you're doing something like that, you definitely affect how other people do it and see you too.
Yeah, I think the small things make a bigger difference than any big thing will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all those small acts that matter most. And then sort of wrapping it in full in a way, what would you like to see in the future in terms of the preservation of, you know, like parks, just like changing all of this, you know, terrible stuff that's happening with the environment, and like just our outlook on our generation as a whole? I think I'm really optimistic with where we're headed, because I have a strong belief in our generation. A lot of people don't, but
yeah, I mean, like, I definitely do too. I feel like a lot of people look at like the problems of the world now, like with the environment and everything, and they look at it at the pace that we're going now. And I feel like what they don't understand is technology is moving fast, and it's not going to remain the same speed. I feel like, say, like right now we're going 10 miles per hour, but every time we discover something new, it just seems like we're getting faster. It's like if today it was gas cars and in 100 years it's electric cars, it's like you don't need 100 years to discover the next form of transportation. It's only needing 10 years now. Because you discover something so crazy that it's solving the problem in other sectors too.
Yeah.
So for example, the battery they created for the electric car also is being used in another way to store the solar energy in that battery to power towns or like neighborhoods, which is awesome. You know what I mean? So I feel like, you know, using that as an example, I feel like, yeah, people might think we're not moving fast enough, but they don't realize is we're gonna be moving faster than ever.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are gonna combat these problems. It's just like people are just starting to hop on the wave. You know what I mean? You look at Tesla, they started it.
That's the greatest example.
Yeah. You look at Tesla, they started it, and now you got companies that are from clothing companies to car companies to shoe companies like Adidas using recycled materials in their shoes. It's like everybody is working towards it. And you might say, okay, corporate America using another thing to, you know, benefit themselves. Well, at least they're doing something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least they're conscious. Even if they have to put their price up $10 more, they're still doing something. And I feel like at the end of the day, if you're doing something to not only positively affect your environment, but, you know, like whatever you're doing in your environment is all connected throughout the whole entire world, you'll definitely start to feel like, I feel like, a better person in general. Yeah. So I definitely urge everyone. You might think that everyone's taking steps, but if you take at least one step in, you know, doing something better for your environment, I feel like that will definitely help no matter what.
Yeah. Just because we both love him so much, I have a huge admiration for the man Elon Musk, dude. He's taken on the world. And the great thing about him is he had to go to the depth of the darkness in order to create the most revolutionary thing in all of humanity, probably.
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to Elon Musk and Tesla, people always look at the negative as like, oh,
of course they will.
Oh, they can't deliver the car, or like, oh, they're not doing this, or like, oh, they didn't meet the 18% expectation, they met 13%. Yes, you can take a look at revenue, you can take a look at models, you can take a look at delivery dates, strip all that away, and if you look at what Elon Musk did, just for a whole new sector of the automobile industry in the world is crazy. Yeah. He not only like created something that's actually directly affecting the world in a positive way, but he, you know, like the fact that he gave away all of his patents, the fact that helped create like other cars, other electric cars by other companies, and he's now like created a whole movement. Yeah. That outweighs everything.
Yeah, and
all
I think
negative aspects. That
for him, it's so great too, because for him, it's like he's like literally trying to save the world, so he doesn't care about any like internal stuff within the company that they're trying to gain, or like that competition. Like he just wants everyone to thrive. He even said, I think he tweeted it recently, where he said my competition is not like other auto manufacturers. My competition is climate change. I think he said something along. He said something along as like, competition isn't really like what's our problem.
there's a bigger problem that we all need to face together.
Yeah.
And I think, like, yes, he can, like, secretly keep all of his technology and hide everything away and keep making a lot of money from Tesla because, everyone will buy it. We all know.
Yeah.
But the fact that, like, he's willing to just give the answers away so it moves faster is something amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Witnessing a great part of history. But
oh, yeah.
Lastly, we looked at the world as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one last question, looking at you internally. I know you mentioned it, but what is one major dream you have, and then what are those practical action steps you're taking to get there?
So Mount Everest is definitely, like, a big dream that I have, but I feel like something that I actually really wanted to talk about on this podcast was, like, success and, like, people's definition of success. And something I feel like, growing up in this generation with, like, LinkedIn and social media and seeing everyone else's success all the time is, like, sometimes that can get in your head as to what success is, the definition of success. Because, like, you might go on social media or, like, a lot of platforms like LinkedIn and you might see a lot of people, getting a really good corporate job or, like, building their own fitness brand or, like, whatever it is. And you might start to think, okay, they really have it going. This is really what success means. They're making a lot of money. They're happy. They're successful. You start to make something like that. But I feel like my biggest goal for myself is, like, how I see success is if you can get to a part of your life where you're purely living and you've taken care of a lot of those monetary things that you need to. Like, for example, for me, like, the first thing I want to do is definitely make sure I buy my mom a house and she's financially secure because she works hard. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up only child and then she had another kid. So she works really hard. So I definitely want to, like, make sure that she's okay. So my biggest goal in life is literally to buy my mom a house and give her a stack of money. To be honest, I'm going to go deep down. Mount Everest is important, but that's my top priority. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that is probably the one reason that I'm still in school. You know what I mean? Because, like, one thing I really believe in is until you find the next best thing, don't do something stupid and give up what you already have. Mm-hmm. So obviously I want to be, like, I want to travel all the time, adventure, that's the goal, and, like, live a simple life, like live out of a car or something or van and just make films. Mm-hmm. Because I probably need, like, startup cost zero for that lifestyle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But to get there, you know what I mean? That would be my definition of success. If I can get there where I made such good, like, decisions and goals for myself and, like, stuck with it to the point where I did a financially secure life for my mom. I, took care of, like, my little brother. All that's good. Now I'm, like, out in the world, helping the world in some way, or, like, showing parts of the world where it's troubled, or, like, showing beautiful parts of the world so people feel more positive. I feel like that's my definition of success, and that's, like, my biggest goal. Like, get to a point in my life where everything is taken care of and I can just pack up in a van or, like, in a car and just drive out and just drive forever and just tell stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's, like, my definition of success.
Yeah.
And I feel like people, like, if I were to give, like, advice to people, it's, like, don't let other people's definitions, like, get in the way of yours. Because sometimes, like, it might feel like you're stuck just because you're seeing other people do much better. But what you don't realize is, like, you are on your own time. You're on your own time the whole time. You could either sit there, watch other people do well, or think they're doing well, or you can use that same time because you are in your own time and actually do something with it. Go somewhere, see something, meet someone, ask questions, ask for opportunities, and actually get somewhere that you think it's, like, you feel successful or you feel better about yourself. You know what I mean?
If you didn't play this back 5 times, then I don't know what's wrong with you. But that was golden, man. I appreciate that.
Of course. Man.
And I think I relate to that on so many levels because as of recently, I've been feeling the same way. And it's, for me, there's never going to be, like, a complacency or an end point or me accomplishing some type of goal because there's always going to be more to do. I think what we always talk about, like, even when traveling, it's that journey that takes place within that really matters most, and that's success. That's where you really achieve what you want. I think in terms of what you're trying to do with your mom and your brother and all that, it's really, I admire that so much.
Yeah, dude, I feel like growing up in America, growing up in Bangladesh, the one thing I took away was collectivism.
Collectivism?
Yeah, collectivism.
Yeah.
And then when I came to the U.S., it was almost individualism. So, like, the cool thing about that is, like, you have that family aspect in you, but you could be selfish enough to do well for yourself so you can give back.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it comes back to almost, like, a lot of the times you feel like you got to, like, worry about everyone else, but honestly, if you don't worry about yourself first, and just, like, if you worry about letting other people down, and you don't worry about letting yourself down, but I feel like if you're not true to yourself, it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to let, you know what I mean? Like, keep other people up.
Exactly.
If you're letting yourself down every day.
Yeah,
you know
that's improve your damn self so you can impact other lives,
sure.
baby.
Yep.
That's what it is. But just thank you again so much for talking, and I really do appreciate everything you're doing, what we constantly teach each other, like our relationship, and for, you know, helping these people. And also, I want people to heavily watch everything you're posting, all your videos. So just highlighting your social media if you would like right now.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can follow me on, most of mine is Maruf Hossain 98 for Instagram, and then Maruf X Hossain for Twitter, and then Maruf Hossain Films for YouTube. But yeah, I mean, like, if talking about, like, the future moving on between, like, you know, dream big and also, like, just, like, travels in general, like, whatever we do, like, my main goal for like everything that we do together is to have, like, meaning and value. And I hope, like, everything that we come back from or do together definitely, like it makes us remember, or it makes us think of things that we actually, like, admire to do, and, like, things we want to do, you know what I mean? Just, like, remember and learn from each thing that we're doing, because I feel like, you know, like, with Iceland just starting it, and, like, even, like, the videos that we made in the past, like with Dream Big video, I feel like those experiences, the things we went through together, bro, it just so empowering and makes us, like, it's like such a strong relationship.
Yeah, Iceland was just, like, dipping our toe in the water of everything that's to come, and that was really special, and we learned so much. I totally agree.
But yeah, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And yeah, go chase your dreams.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. We're back. It's just me now. And if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Thank you so much. We truly do appreciate it. And this was a special one, not only because Maruf is a close friend of mine, but because he really offers some true, valuable, deep, authentic insight. And please, like I said, like we highlighted at the end, check out his work. He does clean, quality, amazing stuff. He's a true storyteller at heart. His Instagram, YouTube, and other stuff is in the footnotes, so please check that out. And please, like always, check out what we are always doing at Dream Big & Co. on every social media platform, every podcasting platform, always staying up to date, always staying relevant. And most importantly, in a couple of days, we have our first featured film, our Spotlight, coming out. So stay tuned for that. It's a special one. It's a good time. It's a great time. And hopefully you got some great value out of this one. Keep on striving, keep on digging, keep on grinding, and always, hopefully after this one, get out of your comfort zone and travel.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.